There's going to be a slight echo here. Work with me. It's going to take a couple of days to get fixed. However, this is every single fight to make after UFC Fight Night Vegas 71, Pavlovich versus Blaydes. I've got all of the key fighters from that card on the screen right now. Some winners, some losers, and you may notice there is an empty box next to all of them, and that's where their next opponent's going to go, who I have hidden around the perimeter of the screen. I'll slowly reveal those opponents one by one as the video goes on and place them where they belong on the screen. Let's start straight away with the main event. Sergei Pavlovich finishes Curtis Blaydes brutally in the first round, and I believe he deserves a title shot in the heavyweight division. I've seen people on the ESPN desk saying they like the idea of a Jailton Almeida matchup if he gets past Jairzinho Rozenstruik, or they like the idea of a Tom Aspinall matchup. No, absolutely not. We're about to have a wide open division. I think if Jones versus Miocic happens, I'm going to put Jones here, because I think he should make weight for that fight for Jones versus Miocic. He should be there on weight and build that storyline and secure his title shot by being the backup opponent for that card. I know I'd much rather prefer Pavlovich versus Jones. I know the UFC is going to go with Miocic versus Jones, so there's no point arguing against it. He needs to be a short notice backup opponent for that. We don't want to have these contenders killing each other off right now. We're going to have a wide open division. With Jones gone and Stipe gone, I believe they're both going to retire no matter the result of whatever card they fight on. We need to have a fresh division full of fresh matchups. We can't have Pavlovich already having fought most of the top contenders by the time, and he's already fought a lot of them as well. We can't have him fight even more fresh matchups, and then when it's time to crown a vacant champion, it's all rematches. No. Make him the backup of the card for Jones versus Miocic and build that storyline a little bit more, and then have him maybe take on a Tom Aspinall if Aspinall beats like a Tuivasa in the main event of UFC London, and do a vacant belt once Jones and Miocic retire. We move on to the loser of the main event, Curtis Blaydes. Sucks to be Curtis Blaydes right now because, you know, it's tough to be Curtis Blaydes right now. He gets to the top every single time and then gets sent right back down with a brutal KO loss. I feel like we need to do Curtis Blaydes versus Cyril Gane. Not just because of the matchup, you know what I mean? It's a good matchup for Curtis Blaydes, and we do need to see Cyril Gane tested in a grappling, but in terms of schedule, UFC Paris is probably going to be in September again. You know what I mean? They like to do the same time. They always go to the UK in March. Now they're always going to the UK in July as well. They always go to Abu Dhabi in October, you know what I'm saying? They need to go to Paris again in September and main event it with Curtis Blaydes versus Cyril Gane for Cyril Gane's bounce back fight and Curtis Blaydes' bounce back fight. I think that's a perfect matchup between two top contenders that both need like 2 wins in a row before they're in the conversation to potentially fight for a belt in the future, because I'm sick of like Cyril Gane winning one fight and getting chucked right back into a title fight. I'm not about that. So the winner of this one can take on the winner of like a Rozenstruik versus Almeida or something along those lines, or maybe the winner of like a Spivak versus the winner of Rozenstruik Almeida. Who knows how the schedule's going to work out. We move on to the co-main event. Bruno Silva won in the co-main event against Brad Tavares. Got a really clean win. Doesn't need any time off whatsoever, so I feel like he should get right back in there against Yun Yong Park, a surging middleweight contender. He's on a bit of a win streak right now as well. Both guys haven't really put together enough to start calling for a ranked opponent, but a win over Tavares is a really good win. So we do Bruno Silva versus Yun Yong Park. Whenever the UFC is going to go to South Korea, make it for that card, because Yun Yong Park is Korean, of course. And I'm sure that'll be headlined by like a Holloway versus the Korean Zombie, because that seems to be the fight that he's calling for right now, that both guys are calling for right now. So we'll see if it does happen. We move on to another fight on the card, the People's Co-Main Event, Bobby Green versus Jared Gordon. Bobby Green, he won, you know what I'm saying, in terms of the fact that he's going to have a much quicker turnaround here and he didn't take any of the damage, but he did have a head clash. So does he deserve a ranked opponent? No. I think we should, and I don't think they're going to do a rematch, because I think Jared Gordon needs about 6 months off, and I think Bobby Green's going to look to get right back in there because he's getting old. I say we do King Green versus Brad Riddell on International Fight Week. They've already got a bunch of CKB members on that card. They got Dan Hooker, Volkanovski, I believe Jack de la Maddalena, another Australian, not from CKB, but another Australian is going to be on that card. So we got to do Bobby Green versus Brad Riddell. Massive matchup in the lightweight division, and I think that's what needs to be done, to be honest with you. I think that's a good matchup to make. Both guys just outside the rankings. Brad Riddell was retired, but he's looking to come back. He had knee surgery, and he wants to get back in there. This is a fun striking matchup for both of them that I know both of them are going to enjoy having, because none of them are going to shoot any takedowns in that matchup. I think it's a perfect matchup to do outside the rankings right now on International Fight Week, because Brad Riddell's hitting pads on his Instagram, so he looks like he's ready to go. We move on. Jared Gordon is going to need some time off because of the head clash, and he did get KO'd, even though it's not a loss. You've got to run back the Pimblett fight whenever you can. At the end of this year, Pimblett's looking like he's going to come back at the end of the year. He's still recovering from his leg being injured. I don't see him returning until about September, October maybe. So if they're going to do a McGregor card around that time, this is a perfect fight to put on the main card of that pay-per-view. I need to see Pimblett run it back with Jared Gordon before I can let him move on with his career. I know it's kind of sad because Gordon just got KO'd. So if Pimblett chins him, it's going to be like, oh, well, Gordon's chin got taken by Bobby Green, and it doesn't mean anything that Pimblett won. But I do need to see this fight ran back. I need to see it ran back 100%. Massive matchup to make in the lightweight division. And Gordon's stock didn't really drop. You know what I'm saying? He didn't really have much stock to begin with. He was just the guy that got robbed by Pimblett. So the story still sells itself to run this fight back. And Pimblett's calling for it. Gordon's calling for it as well. They have some beef. Pimblett doesn't like him whatsoever. So it's going to be a heated press conference as well. Imagine Pimblett and Gordon going back and forth about their fight on a press conference with McGregor there as well with Michael Chandler. I think that would be a perfect fight to add to that pay-per-view main card towards the end of the year. We move on. Yasmin Lucindo had a good win. She should take on Sam Hughes. She's just won in the UFC. Sam Hughes just won in the UFC as well. It'd be good to find out if she can defend takedowns and work on her wrestling. It's just one of those tests that a lot of these strawweight prospects have to go through. And Sam Hughes is that wrestling test in the women's division, that sort of like GM3. I don't want to disrespect GM3, but she's kind of that GM3 of the women's strawweight division. So yeah, let's do this matchup. Yasmin Lucindo versus Sam Hughes. It makes all the sense in the world. I can hear the echo the whole time, and it's bothering me, man. I wasn't going to go live today because like, what is going on? Why is there such an echo? And I realized, oh yeah, I'm in a massive room. That's going to happen. So I'll fix it over the next few days. We've also got Jeremiah Wells versus... He got gifted a decision against Matt Semmelsberger that he shouldn't have gotten. He's old, so he should get right back in there. I think Randy Brown is a good step up for him, a dangerous test for him. Randy Brown's got good takedown defense, good ranged striking as well. Coming off a KO loss to Jack Della Maddalena, so going to be a little bit jittery out there, but I think this is the next logical step up for Jeremiah Wells after he lost to Matt Semmelsberger and got given the win. We'll see. This is a good matchup. I think both guys will bring it. I think it'll be a fun fight because I don't think Wells will be able to just lay on him and like attack him on the ground for like 3 minutes of each round and somehow win despite being dropped in 2 individual rounds. So we'll see. Jeremiah Wells versus Randy Brown would be a great matchup. I just think it makes sense rankings-wise. You can't give Randy Brown like a layup fight. It's not like he's a huge star to build back up. So you got to chuck him right back into the wolves and use him as a bit of a stepping stone if you can for a guy like Jeremiah Wells. Hopefully they do that around August on a fight night card, something like that. We move on to another fighter. Montel Jackson got a big win over Rani Yahya. I want to see him stay active. And I want to see him versus... this guy. Can't remember his name. The echo is reverbing around my head this entire video. I cannot for the life of me remember his name. I know who he is. He just got a win against Rafael Assunção. And before that, he lost to Rafael Assunção. And he recently got a win over Tony Gravely. And his name is completely slipped. It's like a Jones or something along those lines. I can't remember his name. The echo is messing with my head right now. But that's the guy. What's his name? I know his name. It's Victor Henry is his name. Thank God for that. I was going to restart the whole video. Victor Henry. coming off a win just outside the rankings, probably going to be looking for a fight that's going to get him towards a ranked opponent afterwards. Same with Montel Jackson. Montel Jackson is just such a small name, and Rani Yahya was really a layup fight as well. He's such a small name, you can't just give him a ranked opponent now. Like, there's a lot of demand in the bantamweight division and a lot of fights going on at the moment as well. So I don't think you just give Montel Jackson a top 15 guy. You give him Victor Henry. They go at it for 3 rounds. Tough matchup for both of them. And the winner of that one can start looking for a ranked opponent, maybe like the loser of a Song Yadong versus Ricky Simone or something along those lines. We move on. Mo Usman put the whole crowd to sleep in his fight against Junior Tafa. It's time to take a little bit of a step up in competition now, because he is on a 2-fight win streak in the heavyweight division, so it's time to take a jump up. There ain't many times you can win in the heavyweight division and not get a jump up, so there just aren't many heavyweights to get through. So Mo Usman, he's a name because he's Usman's brother. He's boring to watch, absolutely horrific to watch. It's the Arlovsky test. I think it's the Arlovsky test. It's a perfect time for it. Make it happen. Andre Arlovsky taking on Mo Usman. I think it just makes all the sense in the world. Do it. You know what I mean? It's the test that most heavyweights have to go through as soon as they put together a little bit of a streak. And I know that you can say, well, Mo Usman hasn't taken on too many good heavyweights, but Tom Aspinall took on Andre Arlovsky after beating Jake Collier and Alan Badeau. So it's not like you have to beat too many great opponents before being given Arlovsky. And he's also coming off a loss to Marcos Rodrigo de Lima. So I think schedule-wise, it makes sense. They'd both be coming back around the same time. I'd like this matchup to happen. Mo Usman, Andre Arlovsky. Little bit of a test for Mo in the heavyweight division, but also a winnable fight as well, because he does have power. Even though he can't throw punches to save his life, he does have power in his hands. And Arlovsky is Arlovsky, so the right punch is going to send him to sleep at some point. Could be a jab. Who knows? But yeah, let's talk about the main event now. I don't want them killing off other contenders. We can't do, let's do Pavlovich versus Aspinall in the meantime. You know what I mean? Let's do Pavlovich versus the winner of Rosenstruik Almeida in the meantime. He could beat them. He probably would beat them. But we're going to have a wide open division once Jones retires. Once Stipe retires, we're going to have a wide open division. And you just can't do that. You can't do that. Wide open division, and then everyone's already fought each other, and it's all rematches. We need to keep these matchups fresh and hold off on the fights at heavyweight in the top of the division for a while. Have Aspinall fight like a Marcin Tybura. Have him wait. Him and Pavlovich, have him wait. And in early 2024, maybe in December, depending on, well, Jones might fight in November. So early 2024, after Pavlovich makes weight for the backup of Jones versus Miocic, we can have him versus Aspinall or something like that in the meantime. Or him versus the winner of, like, if Cyril Gane beats Curtis Blaydes for a vacant belt. Who knows? Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle Pip. I will fix this echo, I promise you. I didn't think things through. It's a massive room, and I'm used to being in my shed, which, unbeknownst to me, had godlike acoustics. Goodbye.